Hey, welcome to episode 1 of What the Did I Just Read? Where I'm going to cover books that, like have trigger warnings, right? I'm going to do horrors, thrillers, dark romances. If it has a trigger warning or needs one, that's going to be me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read those books for you and cover them. I'm going to give them ratings and I'm going to do my very best to not give away too many spoilers. I did find out that YouTube is not too fond of cursing. And since I need for this to get out to a larger crowd, I'm just going to go ahead and get all the cursing out right now.
One eternity later.
I feel so much better. Let's talk about the rating system. So for each book, I'm going to give it a few ratings. The first one is going to be 1 to 5 claws to denote the level of gore, right? Then it's going to be 1 to 5 chili peppers to denote the level of and how explicit it is. We're also going to use 1 to 5 little cringy faces for those trigger warnings, right? And then a 1 to 5 star rating. Okay, so for today, we're going to start with the Unraveled World. Who wrote that? Oh, yeah, that's right. That would be me. So obviously, we're not going to do a star rating because that would be self-serving. But my book does come with trigger warnings, one of them being domestic violence, okay? There is some sex scenes, but there is a lot of gore. I'm going to go ahead and just read the synopsis on the back of the book, which I think might be the best bet for any book I review. And then we'll go from there. In a world torn apart by a devastating virus where humanity teeters on the brink of extinction, a small group of survivors may hold the key to bridging the gap between species. As the Rickies rise as the new apex predator, the remnants of humanity struggle to survive. The fate of the world rests on the shoulders of two scientists and their small group of survivors. Will their quest for unity save a shattered world? Or will it lead to annihilation in the wake of a new species? Follow Dr. Alexandra Tyson, a UCLA professor, and Lieutenant Colonel Ronan Rodriguez as they embark on a perilous journey to either bridge the gap between Homo sapien and Rickies or to eradicate the new species so they can retain their title as the dominant species. Welcome to the Unraveled World, where hope battles against the odds and the line between friend and foe blurs in a post-apocalyptic thriller. So, what did I write this book about? Well, a couple of years ago, when I first started writing this book, I read a journal. Yes, I do still read medical journals, even though I'm no longer a paramedic. I just find these things interesting. And I came across this article where this group of scientists was working on trying to use, I believe it was macrophages, to assist antibiotics in treating antibiotic resistant strains, okay, i.e. MRSA. So Ronan Rodriguez is a virologist for the Air Force. And I put him in the middle of this study. And of course, our government, and yes, I'm going to say this out loud, I do have a healthy distrust for our government, wanted to weaponize this. And because of that, it got out. It went through an antigenic shift during flu season. And a certain population of the humans were pushed forward painfully and quickly to the next evolutionary phase if we were in a world where the environment was unforgiving, hence the Rickies. So what happens? They keep the majority of their features, but their eyes become completely are enlarged, all black. They have the same covering, and I forgot what it was called, as the wolves, where they can see at night. Elongated claws, and enlarged musculature. But One telltale sign is their elongated canines. And you'll find that their elongated canines are also hollowed out. I'm going to have you read the book to figure out why they're hollowed out. But if you know anything about venom, you'll know why that they're hollowed out. So, who is Ronan Rodriguez? Ronan Rodriguez is this guy who is from a survivalist community, turned 18 and just turned out to be the scientific genius. Then we have Alexandra Tyson, whose life was a far, far different than his, and she's gone through so much tragedy. She's witnessed so much, and she's become the youngest professor in UCLA. Ronan is now running for his life. So let me backtrack. He is the first to get infected with this initial virus, right? Not quite yet after the antigenic shift. And that's when he figures out that, oh my God, this is not good. And he got infected because, weaponizing it, blah, blah, blah. And here comes the Rickies, right? So we follow him and his roommate and his best friend running for their lives. And then we in between all that, we meet Alexandra. We understand who she is. She's this fiercely independent woman that just goes through men while she's working on her studies and being one of the youngest UCLA professors ever to come around. And Ronan Rodriguez is very much the golden retriever. But I'd like to show, as I go through everything, how people's core personality can go through some minor changes depending on what they are exposed to. And I definitely cover that in the very, very beginning. I'm telling you, Ronan is a golden retriever. He is a sweet man. He is our hero, right? But in the very beginning of the book, some people need to be hit in the face with a bat, Ronan thought as they dragged him away from his small group. With a bat. Initially, when we first meet this man, now remember that was from the prologue, he is not violent, though he is capable of violence, right? Then we go ahead and we meet Alexandra, and Alexandra is completely different. Like I said, she's fiercely independent, she's driven, and she is just eating these men alive. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick out when we first meet Alexandra, right? And now Alexandra, we meet her, she's waking up, she's stretching, she's in her bed, in her house, she rolls over and she sees this man, has no clue what his name is, right? And she gets up to take a shower because she wants to be ready to kick him out of the house so she can get to the office, right? In suit, and then we have a nice little sexy shower scene. But after that, he, she's getting ready to go, and he goes, how about I give you a ride to work? I can come back to take you out to lunch. No, thank you. I think we both got what we wanted out of this. She locked the door when he finally stepped into the hallway. Al turned to see him uncomfortably close, with the anger still on his face. Look, dude, I'm not sure what you thought this would be, but I have to work. He grabbed her by the wrist. Al twisted her wrist against his thumb without a thought, forcing him to break his hold. She grabbed his hand quickly, twisting it behind his back, then kicking the back of his knee to bring him down to half a weight. Don't be a baby. It was great. I don't remember your name, and I don't want your number. Touch me again, and I own this arm. So this is who Alexandra is in the beginning. Now, remember, I like to show how people go through, changes as they go along, right? And as we go along, Ronan basically becomes absolutely, utterly enamored by her, right? Utterly enamored. And he says something to her that just was absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And it says, neither of us is perfect. I hold no illusions about you being a perfect mate. But Alexandra, I thirst for you like a man walking in a desert. Sir, sir, just put it all out on the table there, right? Put it all out on the table there. And you know, at one point, Alexandra basically says, stop looking at me like that. I don't want to be revered or loved. I want people to fear me. I want people to understand that I can be a collapsing dark star at any moment. You know, and that's at the beginning of you know, their relationship. And it goes on where she says something along the lines of like, life without you would be vapid and meaningless as we go through our story. But they're not the only characters in this, right? So I introduced two younglings, Ethan and Gabby. Now, in this story, what they have gone through to get to where they're at still remains a mystery. Okay, I am writing a separate novella, so we know what Ethan and Gabby went through, but it's still a mystery, and you kind of wonder, are they crazy? Did they have like a mental break because of what they went through? So they did pick up a straggler, these four, right? And this guy is just like really bossy, and he tries to grab a gun from Ronan. And it goes along like this. Ethan took a second look in the rearview mirror and laughed. As we said, man, we can use an extra pair of hands if we get into trouble, but don't mistake our kindness for weakness. If Gabby gets hurt, I'll kill you myself. It wouldn't be the first time. And the reason he says this is because Gabby snuck up behind this one character who admittedly doesn't last long and has her knife at his neck before he even realizes what's going on. And you understand that these kids went through something. Go fast forward, they meet another group, and somebody in this group calls them out for their callousness. What will you become if you're put into this situation where you have to fight for your life? Are you going to stay this golden retriever boy, or are you going to become callous and cold until people, you know, prove themselves to you, right? You know, when we start meeting the Rickies, one of them being Ronan's neighbor, I describe eviscerations and how they smell and lick their prey first before they decide what they're going to do. And I got this where there are certain species out there that will avoid a prey animal if it is ill or sick. And I wanted to incorporate that into my Rickies. I'm not going to tell you why they're called Rickies, because it's a running joke in the book. So we'll keep it at that. Let's get to the ratings. So as far as gore, all right, I'm gonna give it three claw marks. It is my first attempt at gore, so I felt like I could have gone more, but I wasn't sure. Like, I wasn't good at writing the gore. As far as chili peppers, I only did 2, because if I'm honest, all right, writing scenes kind of had me giggling like I was 14 years old again. It was crazy, right? Cringy. I'm going to give it 4 for cringy. And the reason I'm going to give it 4 for cringy is because there are scenes of domestic violence and one scene of child abuse. Don't worry, it is not our main characters, but there is a scene of child abuse in here, and also several scenes of domestic violence. And the reason I'm giving it 4 is because for me, those domestic violence scenes were very difficult for me to write because it just brought back a flood of memories. And if I'm honest, that one chapter, I was bawling like a baby. And I couldn't write for a month. Okay? Until I got all my shit together again. Oops. Sorry, YouTube. Drop the S word. Anywho. So, thank you for joining me. Stand by for episode 2 because we're going to start on the Haunting Adeline series by H.D. Carlton.